Now, last week, we had a fellow YNAB friend comment, "Oh, Hannah, I love this, but it's time someone finally poured you a cup of coffee. Your mug is always empty." Oh, bad way to make a point. So Caroline, rest at ease. I do have coffee. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, welcome to this week's episode of Heard It From Hannah. Now, this week has looked a little different in the world, I think we could all agree. And that being said, I wasn't thinking about budgeting quite as much as I was thinking about just life. But as I was thinking about life, I was also thinking about all the things that budgeting has actually taught me, not about budgeting. So today I'm going to share with you 6 things budgeting taught me about life. Over 6 cups of coffee. So I'm going to pace myself with 1 cup per, just kidding, I'm not going to. Let's dive right in. And it's about time we welcome back Mr. Chalkboard. Now this thought right here is actually the one that inspired this whole video. I was in my house and there was just random stuff everywhere. Seriously, I had like 3 jackets and cardigans just throughout the kitchen and the living room. Pairs of shoes, you get the picture. There was just stuff everywhere. I started picking things up one by one and putting them back where they belonged. So what ended up happening was I made 40 million different tiny trips to put the nail polish back in the bathroom, put the shoes back in the closet, get the coffee mug from my bathroom back downstairs to the kitchen. And I just realized as I was picking up a 3rd pair of shoes from the entryway and taking them back to my room, that if I had done all these things right away, I wouldn't have had to spend 30 minutes cleaning up. And because I basically live and breathe budgeting software, I thought to myself, this is just like transactions. If you guys have seen my 5 YNAB budgeting mistakes video, you'll remember that the first thing I talked about, right? Was it the first? Was it the first? No, the 4th. The 4th thing I talked about in my 5 YNAB budgeting mistakes video is that I relied on direct import. And this is a similar thing. When I was relying on direct import, I just didn't really categorize my transactions very often. So basically I'd sit down at the end of a week and have to categorize everything, and it took so long. And honestly, by that time, I didn't even remember what the purchases were to put in the memo line. I just made stuff up, I don't know. But the point is, I let all these transactions build up and then I dealt with them all at the same time. And that's just not very fun. What I finally realized was way easier is if every single time I made a purchase, I immediately took 30 seconds to enter it into my YNAB budget, then everything was up to date and I wouldn't have to sit down at the end of the week and categorize like a bajillion transactions. So it made me realize putting a tiny bit of time into something in the moment is so much better than dealing with the buildup down the road. So I made a self-pact to try to just do things when I notice them. When I see an empty coffee mug on my bathroom counter, I'm going to take it downstairs with me instead of going, I should really take that downstairs later. I guess it might feel like work in the moment, but when you're putting in those baby steps all throughout the week, your house will always be clean. Your budget will always be categorized. And imagine how productive someone such as I might be if I did everything in the moment. Just gotta say, 6 cups of coffee is a lot. I will not be drinking these, Caroline. Will not. They're already all cold though. Not really sure what happened to this little S guy. He's just hanging out. The second thing that budgeting taught me about life is that flexibility actually thrives and functions best within structure. That sounds like a total oxymoron, but it's true. Flashing back again to my 5 budgeting mistakes video, I talk about how I totally abused Rule 3. Basically, I just felt really good about the fact that I had a budget, but then I ignored everything. I still bought whatever I wanted, at whatever price, in whatever category, at any time I felt like. That is flexibility with no boundaries. And that's kind of dangerous. Let me tell you a little story about a fish. Well, it's about all fish, actually. Truly more of a fable, if you will. If you tell a fish, hey, fish, I give you full freedom to go wherever you want to go. Explore the world. Be free. Well, that fish might go, I've always wanted to check out the land. I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing. So he takes a trip to the land, goes on a merry-go-round, tries out a seesaw, eats some tater tots, and then, well, he's a fish. So he dies. That got dark fast. But telling a fish you're free to go wherever you want does not set him up for success, because there is a very specific environment where the fish can thrive, and it's in the water. It's within the boundaries of the water that the fish is able to thrive and then truly be free in all the ways he wants. If your whole financial life is rolling with the punches and spending money however you want with no budget or structure, I can almost guarantee you will turn out financially belly up. No sporadic budgeting month I've had where I've made whatever purchases I want has ever been better than a planned month where I actually stick to my budget. Just like how I've discovered about myself, if I do not have a plan for my workday and it's just all flexible all the time, I get nothing done. Just nothing. But flexibility within structure? Oh, she thought it'd be cool. This chalk is really on here good. Everything seems scary until you try it. Everything seems out of your skill set until you try it. Everything seems impossible until you try it. And then most of the time we try it and we're like, not bad. This was budgeting for me. I didn't start budgeting until I think I was about 23 because I was just afraid of, I didn't know what I was doing. People seem to know a lot about finances, and all I knew was that if I stopped spending money once I didn't have it anymore, then that was... And then even when I started budgeting, anytime I would think about changing the dollar total on one of my categories, I just thought, well, I probably can't limit my fund money. It would be impossible to put that much toward my student loans. I would just think, I'm not a numbers person. I'm just not a saver. And I for sure cannot stick to anything longer than 2 weeks. So this seems impossible. And let me tell you, that exact mentality has kept me from doing a lot of things in life. I'm a little bit of a scaredy cat by nature, and also a tad bit perfectionist. So if I feel like I'm not gonna do well on something, I have a hard time trying it, because it's scary and I might fail. But the more I've confronted the things I'm afraid of, or the things that look too hard or seem impossible, the more I've actually learned this is not that bad. My biggest fear all of my life was airplanes. I avoided them like the plague for 24 years. And it wasn't until I got an interview for this job that I had to go on my first airplane ride. And I will just be straight up with you guys, I brought my mother. I was so scared. It seemed like something I could never do. But the thing about planes is once they close the doors, you can't get off. So there I was with my mom just trying to... Keep it cool, Hannah. Keep it cool. And I did it. It was amazing. I literally talked about it for like a year. My coworkers know this very well. Same with other things in life. I never thought I could film a wedding until I did my first one and the world didn't explode. If you are new to budgeting, it will always seem hard and scary until you just go for it. So I encourage you to go for it. You will come out a much braver person. Hey, this one definitely hits home pretty hard. Avoiding something doesn't make it go away. You know when you're playing hide and seek with a little kid and they think that if they cover your eyes, because they can't see you, you can't see them? Man, I cover my eyes a lot. I will absolutely never deny that I have had my fair share of bad spending habits over the years. And let's not even stick to past tense. I'm just gonna say I'm having some right now. When I get in a bad way financially, I tend to start ignoring. I don't check my budget because I'm afraid to see what I actually spent. And then because I'm not keeping up with my budget, I definitely don't check my bank account because that'd be even more scary. I absolutely know deep down that avoiding the budget or avoiding my bank account that's no kind of solution. But when we are in the thick of making some bad choices, sometimes it seems like all we can do is just, well, what? Ignore it. But ignoring the bad habit does nothing to help you break the bad habit. With budgeting, there eventually becomes a point where you have to go into your budget and finally confront those purchases. You can't not deal with them or else you'll never budget again. And I knew it was better to confront those bad choices than to never budget again. So after time and time of avoiding the budget at all costs, I would finally come in, reconcile everything, and then realize, yeah, it was better that I came in here and dealt with this instead of putting it off and acting like, I don't see you, budget. One big thing that I've learned about myself this year is that when I get overwhelmed or stressed, I just avoid. I had a painfully large backlog of work that I just was afraid to deal with, and so I didn't. And I will be straight up with you guys, it was not good. There were people I let down, deadlines I did not meet, hard lessons that I had to learn because I thought avoiding was better than dealing with the issue. This is definitely a coping mechanism that I really wrestle with, and budgeting is one of the things that truly pointed it out to me. They talk about retail therapy, but they never talk about budget therapy. That's a real thing. Making me all wise, challenging my character. This one is perhaps quite obvious, but like so heavily reinforced by budgeting. Also, not gonna lie to you guys, the coffee, it's too much, Caroline, it is too much. There are two things I can think of that happen overnight, and it is oats and acne. Pretty much everything else in life takes time. I budgeted just so sporadically over the years because I never thought I was doing it by the book or that I should be seeing more changes. I would see people post about paying off all their debt and building up $800 in their auto maintenance category. And when that didn't happen for me in the first 2 months, I was like, come on, does this even work? Getting your money to a healthier place than it was before takes a while. It takes time, you guys. That is so hard. When you are in a hard place financially, there is nothing you want more than for it to just get better. And when I saw videos or Instagram posts about people paying off $60,000 of debt in a year, I just thought, well, gee, I'm doing something wrong. But then I do a little more research and find out that that person had usually been working on their finances for years. The only reason they got to that awesome place was because they were disciplined over time. When I first started budgeting, I was 22 or 23 and I was a freelancer. And I really just thought once I get a budget, everything will fall into place right away. And let me tell you, it did not. I got really overzealous about my budget for a while, made a million savings categories, and then decided, you know what, if I really want to get a handle on my finances, I should probably pare this down to a pretty simple and humble beginner's budget. And then with time and discipline, I'm gonna start getting somewhere. We learn to do our job over months, if not years. We learn how to raise children over decades. Even learning the alphabet for the first time probably took you more than a day. I don't know exactly how many years I was saying LNNOP, but the day I found out there weren't two N's in the alphabet was a shock. But now I know. LMNOP. And lastly, the one thing I did not think I was going to learn from budgeting: fun fuels motivation. I'm one of those personalities that will randomly crack down and go super hard on something. And occasionally I've cut out all the fun money in my budget, slashed the pet category in half, and I just go really hard trying to be really intentional about life. Which is good, but I learned that when I removed the joy from my budget, it always got way harder to stick to it. Because guess what? Pretty much as soon as I would cut down my fun money, that's when all of a sudden I would want to have the most fun. And then one of two things happened. Either I just stopped living out the budget because it wasn't fun, or I just started way overspending on all the fun stuff that I had stopped budgeting money for. One of my friends here at YNAB actually has an amazing story about how they were wrestling to save money to make a down payment on a house. And the thing that finally got them to save enough money to make a down payment, get this, was increasing their fun money. If you're sitting here thinking, how in the world does that actually work? Then go ahead and find the link to his story in the description below and find out for yourself. But when you think about this, it really is true. I mean, if all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, then Jack is proving my point. When we make our routines or our jobs or our life too rigid and we take out all the fun, at least for me, it gets kind of hard to keep being productive. Whether it comes to budgeting or just plain old life, keep it fun, keep it joyful, and playful at least every once in a while. This keeps our spirits high and keeps us motivated. It is not I, but science who says that happier people get more things done. So keep your fun money and keep your categories that keep you happy, because that's what'll give you the motivation and contentment to stick to the rest of your budget. Likewise, have a little fun in life. For me, I know that I can clean my whole house if I just have a TV show running in the background. If I get to hear it and laugh and have a good time, I'll keep cleaning. I truly will. The fun fuels me. Fueled by fun. What can I say? So friends, who knew that so many elements of budgeting actually carry over into our everyday lives? Budgeting is truly an experience of enrichment and challenge and growth and thinking outside the box. There are so many things we can apply from the lessons we learn budgeting to our everyday life. Budgeting doesn't just keep our money in line, it keeps our heart in line. This week, I want to challenge you to think about all the ways taking control of your money has helped you take control of your life. Because you might be surprised at what you find. If they have an underwater merry-go-round and an underwater seesaw and some underwater tater tots, well, he can help himself. I don't know what the all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy movie comes from. I think it's a scary one, but the sentiment is right. So if you think we're some kind of financial saints over here, let me just squash that little lie right now.